The recording, Tanya?
We're recording now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dan Paternak. I'm the chair of the Aging Committee of Bronx Community Board 8. Thank you for coming out on this Monday afternoon. It's our first meeting of the year. I hope everybody enjoyed their summer. I'll just start by taking a roll call of our committee members. Sylvia Alexander.
Here.
Sylvia. Margaret.
Here.
Yep, gotcha, Sylvia.
Good.
Margaret Della. Margaret, are you here? Lisa Daub, I know you're here. Marvin Goodman. Marvin, are you on the line? Okay. Karen Pesh. Karen, I know you're here. Karen, can you hear? There you are. Can you hear us? You're okay?
She's on mute.
Yes. Okay. And then we've got Rita Proctor-Lowe. Rita?
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Excellent. So we have a quorum, which is great. And I'll just start with a very quick announcement, housekeeping for the board. Karen Pesh has agreed to be the vice chair of the Aging Committee. So thank you, Karen. We appreciate the help. Congratulations and thank you. And I guess we're gonna get right into our agenda today. I'd like to welcome Ilana Kiefer from the New York Academy of Medicine. She's here with her colleagues. Ilana, if you could introduce yourself and then get right into the topic, which is Image NYC.
Wonderful. So hello, everyone. As Dan mentioned, my name is Ilana Kiefer. I'm the acting director at the Center for Healthy Aging at the New York Academy of Medicine. So I may win the award for longest title. And it's a big job too, but maybe sounds more impressive than it actually is. And I'm joined by my colleagues. I'll ask you both to wave. So we have Carolyn Stem and Mario Rubano, and we make up the team, or most of the team at the Center for Healthy Aging. So we are here today to talk to you about an online tool, mapping tool that we have called Image NYC, the Interactive Map of Aging. And just by a show of hands or nods, can you just let me know if any of you have seen this or have heard about this before? Wonderful. I know Julie has, because Julie and I have talked. And as I said hello to Miriam earlier, we used to work together at MJHS, so it's delightful to see you here. And then the other reason that I'm here, besides just to show you our mapping tool, which is, as I said, it's open, it's available. We want it to be used by as many people that are concerned about New York's older adults as possible. So I'm not going to really give you, I really am just going to give you an introduction so you kind of understand what it is and how it can be useful to your work on this board. And we are happy to follow up afterwards with a more kind of concrete training on the mapping tool. We are also here because one of our other projects that we work on is called the Age-Friendly Neighborhoods Convening. I know Julie attends, maybe some other of you have attended as well. And we bring together older New Yorkers who are very active in their neighborhoods throughout New York City. They are often volunteer leaders of what are called age-friendly neighborhood organizations that are typically grassroots organizations led by older adults for older adults across the city. And we also bring together elected officials and aging service professionals, essentially anybody that's really concerned about aging services and older adults in New York. We received funding last year from the New York State Health Foundation, this year from New York Community Trust. And we're really just kind of want to gather together all the good ideas and resources in this pandemic era to really just kind of help people on the ground, help older adults, and really all of us as we're trying to get through these times. So, and then just the other side note is that Dan and I have a special connection because I got into the field of aging because of my grandmother, Esther Sokolsky, who lived most of her life in the building that Dan still lives in the Bronx, on the corner of Sedgwick and Giles Place. And so I've known Dan a long time, and it's so fun to be able to get to see him in a more professional context now. And even though I lived with my grandmother for one summer, but I've never really lived in the Bronx, but it is kind of a special place, and especially Community Board 8. My grandmother actually died exactly a year ago. And so it's even more important for me now to stay connected to my roots. So very happy to be here today. So with that said, I am going to share my screen And I'm going to just kind of talk through this tool that we have. This is a very informal presentation, so please stop me along the way. And I just kind of want to show you what we have here, because we really hope that you will be able to use this tool. And actually, Mario, I'll ask you to put in the website into the chat now so people can kind of start playing along.
So our committee meetings don't have the feature for a chat here.
Oh, then we will just send it. Maybe Dan, you could just send it out afterwards.
Absolutely, 1000%. Or if you want to tell folks how to get to it online, they could do that as well.
Absolutely. So it's imageny.nyam.org. imageny.nyam.org. And Dan can also
Slash
send it
map.
out. They can get to it from that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. So what is this thing and why are we here? So back in an earlier state and national catastrophe of Hurricane Sandy, we were tasked at the New York Academy of Medicine. We did a huge report called the Resilience Report, really trying to figure out why were older adults during Superstorm Sandy disproportionately affected by the storm, and what could we do about it, and how could we help prevent it, and what is the role of city planning and community organizing, and really just the role of community in working on that topic. One of the many recommendations that came out of that report was the recommendation to create this type of interactive map, because we realized, this was way before my time at NIAM, but I'll still use the collective we realized that there was so much we didn't know about older adults. We knew that New York had a lot of older adults. We knew that they were living in apartment buildings, but we didn't really know what types of older New Yorkers were living where. We didn't know where the senior centers located, in areas where there were high populations of older adults. We didn't know where they lived in relations to the flood and evacuation zones. There was so much information we didn't know. And because New York, and Bronx especially, is so racially and economically diverse, we knew that there were different needs sometimes, depending on those different sociodemographic characteristics, but we wanted to kind of know more about it. So what we did was that we worked with the CUNY Mapping Center to create an interactive map that gave us, well, we put it together, but that ultimately gave us a huge amount of information about older New Yorkers. We define older as age 65 and above. Obviously, people use different age limits, but just for all intents and purposes, that's what we used here. So as soon as you get on this map, already we're seeing information. So a few things to note right away without having touched a thing is that obviously it's divided by boroughs, but each of these little kind of funky shapes, those are neighborhood tabulation areas. So there are 159 NTAs, neighborhood tabulation areas in the city. I don't know exactly how many there are in the Bronx, but you can see them all here. These, I think, were designated by the Department of City Planning. They may not all kind of roll off the tongue the way that we typically talk about neighborhoods. So you can see here, but this is kind of what New York City uses. So we are just going with that. You can see as I start to scroll over these NTAs, it's already giving us information about older adults. So it says right here in Westchester Unionport, 14% of older adults are age 65 plus. And then if we go to Hunts Point, it goes down a little bit to 10%. And then if we go up here, I actually can't see because of my Zoom screen. I don't know what that's, oh, Spite and Dival, it's 27%, right? So already it's giving us some basic information. What's nice about the map is that it's color coded, so you can see the legend here. So even without doing a thing, you can start to see the darker neighborhoods have higher percentages of whatever the topic is. This is just straight up the percentage of people 65 plus. So that's just the first, one basic thing to note. Now let's think, okay, what's a very basic thing that we often would think about related to older adults? Let's say, senior centers recently opened back up again. So now we're going to look at some services and resources. I want to know, where are there senior centers let's just say where there are senior centers all over the place. These are all different kind of services and resources that typically relate to older adults. And I'm right now going to click on senior centers. So automatically, this is just one very basic example. You see these are all popping up, all those little black kind of icons. And let me see if I can, I'm not sure I can easily make this bigger, but oh, actually I know I can. All of these little black icons are senior centers. So let's go up to the Bronx and let's look here. So Julie, you'll probably know this very well, all this information. So if I'm going to click on any one of these, I know there's a lot of information here. I can see, oh, okay, this senior center over here with a population of in Mott Haven of only 8% of older adults. PSS, Presbyterian Senior Services, runs a senior center called the Andrew Jackson Neighborhood Senior Center. It's on 156th Street, and here's the email address of the director, blah, blah, blah. So now, okay, that's nice, but I don't think that Mott Haven is in Community Board 8, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at, let's get in closer. Now
I
let's
don't
say,
think any
okay,
of
that's
this.
nice.
Go further north.
Further north, give me a neighborhood.
Up top left, right before
below
Yonkers.
Yonkers,
Give me a
right below
name.
Yonkers, below Yonkers,
Okay, but give me a name or a zip code.
10463.
Wonderful. See, I set you right up because one of the searches you can look for rather than just kind of looking at the whole map is you can search by zip code. One, isn't that's your zip code, right, Dan? 10463?
Yep, that's the one.
That's the one. So,
I don't have any of that map. Where are we?
you don't see the map?
No,
Do you see it on the screen?
no. I
Everyone
see a
should
whole
have this
bunch
on
of
their
stuff.
screen.
I
Yeah,
just
I
see
can see it.
Zoom. I just see them advertising for Zoom.
Do you see us, Rita?
Yes. What should I do?
Wonder if
Well, do you
it's,
see me right now on the screen and the other folks?
No, I
No.
had you earlier.
Okay, you might have gone back to your home screen for Zoom. Do you see the Zoom button on the bottom of your computer?
Let's see. Yeah,
Hit that, see if it takes you back to the Zoom screen.
Okay,
No, we
Maya
need-
Doyle just came in. Then I'm going to exit now. Have a great meeting.
Thanks so much,
Have a
Tom.
good evening,
Thank
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Rita, were you able to figure out Zoom to get back
I
in?
see it now. I see Tanya was on there. Yes,
Yeah. And now
yeah,
you can see a map on the screen, right, Rita?
yes, yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep. you're
Good.
welcome.
So
I'm
now,
so bad with these things.
no worries at all. So now the kind of black outline that we see here, that's the zip code 10463. And as you can see, it actually crosses over multiple neighborhood tabulation areas. Right, so it's Riverdale, Spuyten Duyvil, Kingsbridge, Van Cortlandt Village, and a little bit of Marble Hill. And we can see that there are actually 5 senior centers in that zip code. So that's just one example. Now, because this is Community Board 8, let's look at that. So let's go down, we're going to go to Community Board and we're going to type in Bronx 8. And it'll probably be some overlap, but not exactly, right? So now we have, I mean, you know this way better than I do.
You're just gonna get one, the Riverdale Y.
Riverdale, yep, and we can see, I don't actually know if we have Ys on here. Is there a senior center as part of the
Yeah.
Y?
Yeah, and the Riverdale Y on Arlington Avenue.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's a senior center.
Yeah, there's a senior center in there. That one all the way up north by its lonesome.
Oh, it's this one up here?
Yes,
There we go, Riverdale Y Senior Center.
Right.
There you
on
go.
Arlington.
There we go. So now we can see in your community board, it looks like there's
That's
1, 2,
Julie.
3. There you go, exactly. 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 senior centers in Community Board 8. Now, if I'm thinking, okay, look at that. There are all these senior centers down here. There's only one over here, but there are actually 27% of the population is 65 plus. So if we just kind of go by that information, it looks kind of askew, right? You would think we might need, if we were, let's say we were, making a case to DFTA to build a new senior center, we may want to think about having one up here. But of course, age is not the only thing we need to consider, right? Who goes to senior centers? There are so many different factors that often relate to class, that relate to ability, that might relate to language, who knows? So that leads me to my next point, which is that we have many different sociodemographic characteristics that we can look at, not just the sheer number of people 65 and older. So maybe for somebody that's kind of well-known, that works a lot with senior centers, what are some kind of sociodemographic examples of kind of a typical adult that goes to a senior center?
Access to transportation, mobility.
Mobility, okay. So that's actually, so would be someone who is mobile, right? Okay.
Yes.
So let's go down here. So now remember, we're looking at all these different sociodemographics. So they're divided by these different 1, 2, 3, it looks like 7 categories. So there's and again, this is, don't think you need to like learn all this. It's just to give you a general idea. Oops, sorry. Oh, come back. Hold on. Demographics. Oh, okay. So we have all different types of kind of basic demographics, including race, gender, place of birth, people living alone. Now that might be, oh goodness, that might be an interesting one. Because I might want to know, maybe an older adult living alone is more likely to go to a senior center, right? Because if they need more stimulation and socialization, especially in this time of COVID, now look at here, of older adults living in Riverdale, Fieldston area, 60% live alone. And still there's only one senior center. Actually, it's not much less, but there's actually less in the Spuyten Duyvil Kingsbridge area. So that's something to consider. So now let's go, how do I get rid of this? I highlighted this accidentally and I don't know how to get rid of it. Let me just try to go back up and see. Nope, it's going to be with us for now. Okay, let's go to, let's see. So we were talking about ability, right? So let's look at here. Okay, so now we're looking at ambulatory difficulty. So if we think, okay, someone's more likely to go to a senior center if they can ambulate, right? Like if they can get around, then we want to kind of be thinking about areas where there are low percentages of people that have an ambulatory difficulty. So here it's 22%. But if we scroll out a little bit and we kind of look larger, let's just to give us some context. Oh, that's too large. Let's just see. Just for an example, in Mott Haven, almost half of older adults have ambulatory difficulty. So it was just to give you just kind of, just to see an example. Now let's get away from senior centers. What are some other things that you all talk about in your community board meetings and in these committee meetings that are kind of top concerns? Dan and I talked about a couple when he and I met, but I know there's a lot that are on your mind. So what are some other topics?
Language, first language or
language, absolutely. So let me just clear out, let me reset this. We're going to start from the beginning. Language. So look at that. I got rid of the highlighting. So we're going to go back up here. So there's a few different ways that we can look at language. So, race and ethnicity may or may not tell us about language. Oh, I went to the wrong one. Hold on. It's under socioeconomics. We have language challenges. Now it's important to note the vast majority of this data comes from the Census Bureau. So, we all finished a census last year that went to every single person. Hope not everybody filled it out, but most people did. But there are also, I'm sure there's this thing called the American Community Survey that's much more detailed than the 10 questions that the decennial census asks. And that asks questions like asking about your ability or disability, your income, your language, very, very detailed. And it goes to, I don't know what percentage of the population every year. So this is kind of like a sample size, but that's where a lot of this information comes from. Some of the other information comes from city data. So the Department for the Aging collects data, the Department of City Planning collects data. So it's really quite a composite, a variety of data sources. So now we're talking about language. So one thing we want to see, where do people speak only English? Right? So already we can see here that starts to tell kind of a cool story. So I'm going to scroll up just so we can see this. Probably
Color
not
is
the-
changed.
The colors change, exactly. So this may not be a surprise. Staten Island looks like the majority of their older adults primarily speak English. The Bronx, not so much, right? This is actually interesting. In Queens, I would expect, a lot of Queens, a large percentage do not, but kind of down here in Baisley Park and St. Albans, the vast majority do. So now thinking again about the Bronx, what are the commonly spoken languages here? I can think of one.
Spanish, what
Especially
you
in
want?
Spanish.
There we go. That's the one. Look at that. Look over here. Let's go back up to the top of the Bronx. I'll type in Bronx 8 just so we can really kind of focus in on here. Scroll. Oh, we went a little too close. There we go. I'm going to scroll out a little bit so we can actually see what's going on. As I said, this is not always the most user-friendly, but it does give us a lot of information. Okay, so now here we are. So this is CB8. Van Cortlandt Village, 80% of older adults speak Spanish and speak English less than very well. That's kind of like a census term. We did not make it up. We don't really always like it, but that's kind of what we're going with. Kingsbridge area, 64%. And then up here in Riverdale, 50%. That's pretty high. So again, what does that tell you when you're thinking about different aging services? What are the kind of considerations given that? How can this inform planning and aging services?
For one, we know you may need interpreting services.
Yep. That's a big one for sure. We talk a lot about with COVID and the vaccine, if there's already concern and hesitancy, we need to make sure that we have information and professionals available in the languages that people feel most comfortable in, because there's so much misinformation out there. Anything else?
Well, it's key to have bilingual staff. Spanish and-
Absolutely. Absolutely. This map proves it, right? Absolutely. What are some other either services that you're interested in or demographics that you're interested in? What are some of the kind of topics that you're talking about or that you're concerned about that this map might be able to help with?
Libraries.
And now that libraries are open, it's even more relevant.
Right.
So good one. So now let's look, we're gonna go back to our services and resources. It's not explicitly an aging service, so it's actually under
Cultural.
yeah, thank you. Cultural institutions. Let's look at where our libraries are. So let's scroll back out. So we can just kind of start to see. We're going to move the map up here. Okay, so now we see over here, right? Looks like you all in Community Board 8 have, it looks like 4.5 libraries or something, 5.5 libraries. So again, you can click right here, scroll over here, and okay, there we are. I've been to that library, the Kingsbridge Library. So again, I just want to know, this is a ton of information you can see on the right-hand side. This also gives you data, whichever neighborhood you're in, it gives you the data of the demographic point, which in this case is the percentage of people that speak Spanish, in comparison to the borough you're in comparison to New York City, right? So Spuyten-Duyvil / Kingsbridge is 64% Spanish speakers of older adults, which is more than the average in New York City. So, when you're thinking about the kind of work that you're doing, this map is really used to kind of, in some ways, it's used to prove your point. So if you're, let's just say, going back to our senior center example, advocating for a new senior center in Riverdale, you can say, hey, look, there are all these senior centers across the Bronx or across the city where there is X percentage of older adults that are able to get around and live alone and maybe at risk of isolation, or they need the daily lunch because they earn less than $25,000 and we only have one senior center in all of Riverdale, we need another one. This is the data. This is what you can use as at least one way of proving your point. We also want and hope that city planners are using this as they're thinking about future services. Obviously, COVID put a big wrench in a lot of plans, but now that things are starting to open up again, and as people are paying much more attention these days to the needs of older adults, we actually think there's a lot of opportunity to use this map more and to kind of continue rethinking aging services across the city. So I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to stop now and just take any questions or comments, or happy to do any more demos.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Alana?
I do.
Please.
ahead. All right.
Hi, Lana. I looked at this in April. It's a fantastic tool. And I was just wondering if it's been updated for the most recent census yet?
Good question. It's a great question. So the short answer is no, because we have the Census Bureau has not just released kind of their first big set of data a few weeks ago, and they're doing another round, I think maybe later this month or in October. So as we get the data, we will be updating it. The other thing, Lisa, we will be updating is that right now New York City is going through the redistricting process, as you all probably know, right, based on the census. So we are very lucky that the mapping center at CUNY, who created our map, they also are extremely involved with the Census Bureau. They actually created the national, what's called the hard to count census map. So we have kind of an insider info into all of the data and the changes from the Census Bureau. We'll get it right away because it's the same center doing it for both. So we will be updating this map once New York State approves the changes to the districts. And once we get updated census data, we will put that in. But in terms of data from the newest American Community Survey, we try to update that as soon as we get it. So it's usually every year. We're working with DFTA right now to get a new set of data because a lot of their senior centers have changed or the program directors have changed. Even pre-COVID, there were a lot of changes. So we're working with them right now.
Right. One more question.
Please.
One issue we've always been trying to figure out is how many of, what percentage of our older adults in the district reside at home versus in nursing homes.
Yeah.
Is there any way in here? I didn't play with it.
It's a great question. Not easily. What we can show you on here where there are nursing homes, where there are 202 buildings, et cetera. But we don't, I don't think, and Mario, Carolyn, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have data about percentages. I actually need to look let's see.
Well, can you compare it to other demographics?
Well, it's
Can you
about
use that
people
slider?
living,
Yeah.
Housing one. Why don't you check housing?
right, so housing is actually, it's kind of
Oh,
weird
okay.
data, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't, but I'm just going to do a quick, let me just look quickly. Health insurance, population. Yeah, I don't
recall having seen that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the nice thing is because we meet with the CUNY Mapping Center every other week to kind of update data. So I'm going to add that. That's a really good, I like that one.
Ilana,
Yeah.
can you overlap?
Great question, Carolyn. Thank you. You weren't even a plant, but it's a really good question. So what Carolyn is getting at is one of the cool things. So Mario, will you just make a note to talk to CUNY about the housing data?
Mhm.
Thank you. So one of the things this map has gone through a few iterations, and one of the things that our users commented on was they were like, okay, Lana, that's nice that we see the percentage of older adults living in New York, but we want to kind of see the relationship between the percentage of older adults living in New York and let's say the household income, right? Kind of comparing and contrasting. So we created this funky tool, which is down here called a comparison slider. So it's actually already set up. So if we're looking here at the city, and then we say here, it's all the same sociodemographics that we have, all the same, right? They look kind of familiar. So let's go to household income and let's do very low income. So as I move this, again, you don't need to worry about the mechanics of it. It took me like 2 months to learn this. But as I move this slider, you'll start to see the comparison of percentage of older adults with an overlay of percentage of older adults who make less than $25,000 a year. So what that shows is anywhere where there's kind of gray, that kind of gray cross hatching, that means that whatever the percentages I'm showing here, so let's go to like 50%. So it's just easy to see all these neighborhoods. You can see whatever the percentage of older adults, but we can also see neighborhoods where there are, for example, a high percentage of older adults and a high percentage of older adults that earn less than $25,000. So we can start to see similarities or trends is a better word. So the example I always give is you can see on this map actually the percentage of people that are eligible for SNAP, for food stamps, and the percentage of older adults that actually receive food stamps. And there's a gap. So that map shows us that there are actually people who are eligible for SNAP that are not receiving it. So that's one of the ways that this comparison slider is quite useful.
Ilana,
Yeah.
can you overlay on this map? Can you overlay Section 8 housing on top of this?
Yes, we can. Another good question. So that's going to be a service or resource, housing facilities. So we have night shift developments. It's Section 202.
Or Section 202, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So all of these little stars, and again, I'm not sure the last time this was updated, but all of these little stars, you can click on them and get information. So if we go back up to the Bronx, so that's Brooklyn. We don't want to worry about Brooklyn right now. We're worried about the Bronx. So again, we can see, remember how we talked about the cross hatching people, older adults who are very low income. There's a lot, right? See all that cross hatching here,
Right.
right over here, but there's actually not as much in other parts. So this means that in all these neighborhoods, more than 50% of older adults are very low income. They're earning less than $25,000. And not surprisingly, there's a high percentage of Section 202 housing in these areas as well, and less so in these other areas. So I've been talking for more than 30 minutes, so I don't want to take up too much time.
No, that's okay. This is all very helpful.
Okay, but
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, please keep. Do we have
I
any
have
other?
about 10 more minutes, and
You
then I
have
have to
10
run to another meeting, but
Gotcha. So I have one question for you.
please.
Just for the folks using this, what's the best way to export the data? I know that you could print
A
map.
great question. Yes. So if you click here, there are a few different options. If you click the print map, it'll kind of come up as a PDF that you can either print or share. And this is
What you're looking at, right?
Exactly. Whatever you're looking at and all the kind of whatever you kind of clicked on, it will show for you. It will show for you there. And then you can also share it. So you can copy this link. And I'm not sure how active Community Board 8's Twitter account is, for example, but that's one way to do it is if you want to, tweet a map out, which we do at NIAM sometimes. If you want to, put it on your website, this will take you to whatever the map is that you created. If you want to prove some kind of particular point, you just copy whatever that link is and put it wherever you want, and then it will take you directly there.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would just ask of you is please play around with this. And as I said, we're really open to this is like a constantly updated tool.
Yep.
So, if Julie says, hey, Ilana, you're missing, I don't know. I mean, there's so much on here. What are we, I think it would be really useful, Ilana, to put supermarkets, because I don't think we have supermarkets on here. As long as we can get the data and as long as we think that it's going to be useful, we will add it. So if you as you play around with it, and if you think about either data, so demographic data, or actual kind of like services that would be useful, just let me know.
Now,
Yeah.
what's interesting would be the subway stations and the
Yeah,
walkability
good.
of the subway stations, the walkability getting to the subway stations.
Absolutely. Good thinking. So one of the things that we have is transportation. And as we all have probably seen, I know as my grandmother complained about all the time, is how few subway stops in the Bronx have elevators. And it was only west 231st Street, and that was further. So I would get off at 238th and walk, and then I would meet her there. So I know this very well. So here are all the subway entrances that are ADA, or American with Disabilities Act accessible. And if we look over here, your community board does not look too good, right? Let's go back here. Bronx 8. Not looking so hot.
Wow. You don't have any.
Yeah.
We have,
Now, again, we might have to update. We have to update this because I know the MTA has been working on it, and I don't think there are that many subway stops to begin with, because the other thing is that, we can look at, let me scroll back up. It's not just, these are just ones with, that are ADA accessible, but let's look at it compared to subway routes in general, right? So there we go.
Yeah.
So you do actually, it's somewhat, not a lot. So yeah, but good thinking, Carolyn, on that one.
Yep. No,
Bus
absolutely.
stop shelters is another good one.
Yeah, what about bus routes?
So we have that as well. There you go.
Well, that's sort of sparse too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of transit deserts in our community board.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is pretty.
That's
Makes it
certainly
be-
shows it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's
Exactly.
very well.
Surprise.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So another thing which we'll talk about, DIFTA My Ride was actually doing a pilot program in CB8 right now. With that.
Oh,
particular day.
good.
But that's one reason for it. So I know you have limited time. Does anyone else have any questions for Alana while she's still here about Image NYC? And feel free to just speak up. Well, Alana, thank you so much for showing us.
You're
the tool.
welcome.
It's going to
Thank
fit
you,
in
Alana.
a lot of things that we do this year with just planning and discussion. So thank you so much. And, while you're here, let me just say, your grandmother, Esther, was an amazing woman. She was just in general, like one of the strongest, toughest, like smartest people I ever met. And I've known her my entire life. She was born in the Shalom Aleichem houses
Yep.
and lived here, pretty much, until the last year of her life.
Yep.
Amazing person.
She is. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. I'm glad to see you're so active.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Nana.
And
Everybody
Thanks for
knows that
having
I'm
us.
watching you. Everybody at work knows.
Oh, good. Good. And so please, so Dan will send out the map, but please, Dan, also
Yep.
send out my email. I'm
Oh,
happy
please,
to
yeah.
answer any questions.
Will
If
do.
you want a more specific training on how to actually use it, I'm happy to do that as well at a different time.
And if you want to voice it out now, I'll certainly send it out, but you can give your email.
I'll do it right now.
Yep.
Ready?
Mhm.
EKIEFF, like French fry, ER @nyam.org, NYAM.org. So lovely to see all of your faces. Thank you for the work you're doing for people like my grandma in Community Board 8. We all really appreciate
NYAM.
it, NYAM. And thank you.
And thank you. It's a very
Thank you.
useful tool.
Good, you're very welcome.
Ilana,
Yes.
Ilana, this is Marvin Goodman. Just want to let you know, I'm a 94-year-old. So it's very important that we have the ability to be able to access buses and subways.
Amen. Absolutely. We're doing what we can on our end, and I'm sure you all are too on your community board.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Alana.
much.
Bye, Alana. Good to
Bye-bye.
Mario, thank you
Thank
as
you.
well.
Carolyn, bye.
Carolyn, thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Carolyn. Thanks again.
Sure.
And
Yes, Marvin, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm sorry I came late to
It's
the
okay, it
meeting.
happens.
I thought on my calendar, I wrote 4:30 instead of 4.
Oh, it's all good. It happens. I've been late to
Okay.
plenty of meetings before. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right, so that was Alana. She gave a pretty good presentation. I think it's a very useful tool. I'm still playing with it, again, and trying to I guess, get as much information as possible. But I'm going to move on with the agenda. And I know we have some of the, reps from the providers here, and, just kind of leave it open. If Julie, Miriam, if you guys want to like jump in and give us an update on what's going on, get us up to date, what's happening in the centers and what's happening out there.
We also have an intro. There's some people I'm not familiar with. who's on the-
Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry. Let me get back to this, the grid. Okay, you know what? Let's go around. We could just introduce everyone. I see Maya Doyle is here as well. Maya, how are you? Can
Hi
you?
everyone, I'm here. I'm still in transit, that's why.
Oh, so
My
Maya, we'll
camera's
start the
off.
introduction with you. If you could just introduce yourself briefly.
Of course. Hi, my name is Maya Doyle. I'm the program director for the Marshall Montefiore Senior Center. I've been with the agency for quite some time, well over 10 years. However, I am new to the position and I'm excited. I thought the presentation was amazing.
Yeah. Well, Maya, thank you for joining us. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. And then I'm just going to go around the grid. Lee, do you want to introduce yourself to folks?
I'm Lee Chung. I'm a resident of Spike and Dival and a member of the Riverdale Senior Center Services, I should say. Yay, Julie.
And we're just going to keep going. Miriam, you're the next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Miriam Rabner. I am a community outreach and cultural sensitivity person for MJHS Hospice and Palliative Care. And I am a Riverdale resident, have been for 30-something years.
Excellent. Thanks for coming, Miriam. Karen Pesh, would you like to introduce yourself? We just need you to unmute. Karen,
Mute.
Karen, we just need you to unmute. Let's see if I can do it here too.
Oh, there we go.
There we go, Karen.
All right,
Okay,
can you hear me now?
we can hear you.
Okay, I'm vice chair of this committee. A pleasure to be helping with Dan, and a pleasure especially because they didn't ask me to write the minutes this meeting. Take care, happy week.
Thank you, Karen.
Cool.
Julie Dalton.
Yes, hi, everybody. I'm the executive director of RSS, Riverdale Senior Services, also known as the Center for Ageless Living.
Okay. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Dowd on the community board. Currently secretary for what it's worth and former chair of aging.
Yes.
Way back.
Linda.
Hey, I'm a resident of Riverdale, 72-year-old retiree, project manager for New York City in my career. And I'm just interested in meeting the people at Community Board 8 and hearing what's going on in my community.
Excellent. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for coming. Rita.
Hi, I'm Rita Pactolo. I've been a resident of Riverdale for about 25 years, and I'm a member of the Education Committee and the Aging Committee. And this was very interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Rita. Sylvia.
I'm Sylvia Alexander. I'm chair of the Education Committee and newly to this committee.
Welcome, Sylvia. Thank you. Margaret.
Hi, I'm Margaret Della. I live in Riverdale and I work in the Kingsbridge Heights area of our district. I work at Kingsbridge Heights Community Center. I'm on this committee as well as the Racial Equity Committee and the Housing Committee.
All right. Welcome, Margaret.
I'm feeling a little rusty. Yeah.
Yep. It's all good. It's the beginning. Marvin.
Hi, I've been a member of community board since some of you, I think, before some of you were born. Because I'm 94 years old.
God bless.
I've been a member of the community board, I think, almost since it got started. My wife had been on the community board for 25 years until she died in 1995. And I used to attend all of the meetings for those 25 years. So, and after she died, I became a member. So you see, I've been on the community board for a long time. I've been a member of a lot of different committees. So I'm not going to go through all of them. And I keep saying all the time, since my wife has been on the community board, it's so nice that the community board named a city park after her. You know, it's a Phyllis Post Goodman Park.
Oh,
And so I'm just going to continue with the work that I've been watching on the community board for all these years. For example, one of the members in the aging committee that we're talking about, you know, had been someone who died at age 101, Irving Latimer, and I had the community board name the Community Service Award after him. So it can go on and on and on. I've been very, very active, you see, in all of the activities of the community board for all this time.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to shut up and now let someone else talk.
Well, thank you, Marvin, and welcome back to the committee. Mariel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Hi. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so that's why I'm not on camera because it's a little
All
hard
good.
to hold up. But I'm Mariel de la Cruz. I am the Bronx Borough Director for New York City Controller Scott Stringer. And I'm happy to be here. I sometimes join the committee meetings as I can. Not only do I have to supervise folks that work in the Bronx, but I cover community boards 2, 8, 11, 12, and 10 for the controller. So I have a lot happening, but if there's any way I could be of assistance, or if there's just meetings that you all think are important, just feel free to include me. And I'll put my information on the chat.
There's no chat.
There's no chat, Mariel, but if you would like to put it out, I mean, go right ahead.
Yeah, my email's long, so I'll just give people my phone number because I say it wrong usually too when I'm saying it out loud. It is 212-920-9501, 212-920-9501. But thank you so much, y'all.
Thanks, Mariel. Okay, so we got to introduce each other. And I guess we'll just go back to, if any of the providers want to give us an update on what's going on, through the summer, I would certainly love to hear updates. I think the members would as well. If you're comfortable, doing it.
I'll do that. I also have to leave in a few minutes because I
Sure.
have a board meeting. So
Okay,
when I
great.
hop off,
Yep.
but hi, everybody. It's so great to be back. Well, all through the whole shutdown period with COVID, we continued, I like to say, thrive. We switched to over 50 virtual programs a month. We did over 15,000 wellness check calls. Our staff kept working. But then in July, we opened up for on-site activities at the center, although at 25% capacity, which is a very small group of people. But we are doing congregate lunch. We are doing on-site programs in the morning and in the afternoon. And we are continuing with our virtual programs. One of our challenges is many of our members are reluctant to come back on site. They're happy on Zoom. They're concerned about the vaccine. We can completely understand that, but it is a challenge trying to be a hybrid center. But we're delighted. And then our goal is to open our social adult daycare, again, continued virtually throughout the pandemic, but our goal is to open that physically on October 4th. So we're happy to be back. And our goal is to really meet people where they are. So if they're comfortable on Zoom, that's where they'll find us. If they want to come back to the center, we do have protocols in place. We're happy to have them do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we can do, obviously we're here, or any issues that we need to discuss, please let us know.
Yes, I will. Thank you. And I know we have to set a time for you to come and see us at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there. Thanks, Julie.
Could I just make a comment? I mean, being a resident, it's great to be able to tune into the community board meetings and hear what's going on. I hope you're able to continue that. I know the question is whether it's going to be a physical meeting or not, because I read the news, but this is good for those of us who live in the community.
Yeah, I think a lot of board members, I know I certainly do appreciate having these meetings on Zoom. I think it's so much easier for folks. And I hope the state legislature continues that in some fashion, or our board figures out how to do it, post-COVID.
I'll talk to you later. I'll call you back. Bye.
I think we're good through January 15th. No.
So hopefully, yeah. And again, you know, maybe it's something our board can figure out even when we do resume in person, whenever that might be, is how to kind of get our meetings out to the public somehow as they go. But, you know, it's another conversation for another time.
I'm going to hop off, as I said. I see there's no chat, so take care, everybody.
Thank you, Julie. You
Stay
too.
safe.
Okay. Maya or Miriam, would you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
MJHS Hospice was operational throughout the pandemic, obviously. We worked harder than ever because we also took care of people who were affected by COVID. Our work also involved a lot of bereavement support, unfortunately. And we have started to be very active in the community, in the Ys, in different synagogues, with workshops for community members on how to have advanced directives in place. If nothing else, COVID taught us that it's never a bad idea, that you can't be too young to have your proxies filled out, and to do the work. And we do some workshops while people can fill them out, and we are available to help people to have the difficult conversations with themselves, with neighbors, with friends, and with family members. And that's what we're concentrating now, specifically why we can't meet in person. It's a very Zoomable activity to do and to support people over a series of events.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Miriam. Maya, would you like to let us know how you guys are doing at MMCC?
We're actually up and running. Of course, we're still at the 25% capacity. However, we actually have the opposite. We have a lot of new seniors join because all of our activities are hybrid. So we're still servicing, you know, our legacy clients, but since I've been there, I started in July, we've actually enrolled over 50 new seniors, which to me was pretty high given the circumstances. And I agree, I'm gonna echo both everybody that spoke. We have done a lot of bereavement. Us ourselves have lost some clients throughout COVID, and you know, they're still healing from it. We did make the news from our cooling center. We had a little jazz festival, so we did make the news for that. But other than that, we're up and running. Everything is hybrid. We're serving congregate lunch. I see between 30 and 50 seniors daily, which is a lot given the circumstances.
I'm sorry, how many were that, Maya? How many are you serving?
Between 30 and 50 daily.
30 and 50 lunches daily. Okay, great.
Can I ask Maya a question? Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
I know that your center also takes care of Fort Independence and Marble Hill. So I'm just wondering how they're doing.
They're doing well, just as well. Marble Hill is starting their hybrid programming this month. Fort Independence is a model site like the main building is. They've been doing hybrid programming all of the pandemic.
Great. Thank you.
Everybody is serving congregate lunch. Everybody's doing the grab and go. We're open, and our seniors wish to come back to 100% capacity at this point.
Right. And again, you know, if there's anything that we can do, you know, Maya, Miriam, please, you know, we're here. Anything that you think needs to come out to a public discussion, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so just moving on now to the next item of the agenda. It's just an open discussion. I just want to know from committee members or even, you know, public providers, if there's any topics you want to discuss this year, anything that you think that we should bring out. You know, I'll start with one topic I was discussing with Ed Green of our Public Safety Committee, which is just, you know, having one meeting where we kind of alert older adults to the scams that are out there. If we have PD come in and just kind of discuss, you know, what seniors are being targeted with. I know we frequently get updates on them, but, you know, just to devote one meeting and getting that information out there. Housing, I mean, there's always housing information that we'd like to go, but I'd like to leave it as an open discussion. If there's any topics that you think we should discuss this year.
Well, I think maybe transportation, because there have been some incidents in the neighborhood recently of people getting killed by a bus or getting hit by a car and different things. And, you know, I know there's a place, we had spoken once before about this blind young man, and they need to put up a light or, with the blinking sound so that, he can cross. And they still haven't done anything about it. I know they're working on it, but it's just taking forever.
Yeah, no, I think, our board had put in that request last year, or I should say, the individual Michael had put in the request through 311, and then we've been following up since he put that in, last year.
It's taking a long time,
Yeah, and I think the issue, it's a funding problem. And, it's something that I know that we put back onto our capital expense agenda, budget priorities. But again, Kira, I know, has been following up every single month at DSC.
Right.
And you're right, it's an issue for our CB, and I guess for our committee, it's something that the Aging and TNT committee, brings out each year, that we've been trying to get, more of those lights out there, the APS lights.
Right. Thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Lisa?
Well, just on the transportation side, I know I always got hit by some bicycles down on Broadway going into Van Cortlandt Park, because it comes from both sides and no one's stopping for lights and today I saw, electric scooter on the sidewalk, and I just don't know if there's anything we could do about it. I mean, this isn't about bicycle lanes per se, just general new transportation and how that could affect, I don't know, safety for people who might, not move so fast.
Yeah. No, it's a good time. And now, look, I mean, depending on how you classify them, there's the smaller scooters that you just kind of stand on.
Right.
Those are the new ones that are out there. You see a few pilot programs going out in New York City. And then you have like the full scooters where folks sit on. We're seeing a lot of illegal ones of those, which are a big problem in the city itself right now. And they're just very dangerous just for both the riders and for pedestrians. And I think it's a great topic, and it's something that certainly older adults are concerned about. I know, and I guess we could see how we could bring it out.
I want to mention that I was in Van Cortlandt Park 2 days ago, and there were young children, about 7, under 10, driving electric scooters in Van Cortlandt Park. I saw 2.
Yeah. It's certainly a topic of concern. I think the city let out that one pilot program without really putting out details, or any guides in place, which is a problem, because you're seeing a lot of electric scooters within bike lanes, and you're seeing them travel illegally. And, I think hospitals are certainly seeing a lot of accidents because of them. So, it's an issue. And again, we could speak to, bring it up at exec and say it's an issue that we're concerned about as well. And, perhaps it's the traffic committee that brings it out or has a discussion, or maybe it's a public safety committee. There's a lot of illegal riding out there and just dangerous riding. I think it's also something that the legislature needs to take up, both city and state, on how to address it, and they haven't. There's been a lot of talk out there about requiring licensing, having a minimum age so that young children are not riding these things, and having basically being able to identify folks who are driving these vehicles dangerously. I mean, every single day I see a scooter, like a full-size scooter that somebody sits on, driving down the wrong side of the street or on a sidewalk.
Well,
Lights, yeah.
you need to have enforcement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So great topic, absolutely. And we can bring that up to see where the best place to address the issue is. And I think some of the committees already have. I know the Parks Committee has done it with the illegal ATVs. And we'll see which committee, it should go to. Any other topics? Are there any housing topics that folks think are important? Okay. Well, look, as they go, I'll set out an agenda. If any members or anyone else, think of topics along the way, please, just shout it out through the meetings, and we'll certainly, or send me an email or call me, and we'll bring it out in a public discussion.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Karen.
Okay, my other issue is mental health issues among older adults, and
excellent. Yeah.
Services for them. How do people access them? Is there enough capability at Mosaic to handle what the demand is? I don't know.
Excellent issue.
Great.
Yeah. Yep, maybe we can get somebody from Mosaic or another provider to come out and kind of talk about it in a general sense and how to access resources from different places, or somebody
I
from maybe.
know that there was some funding to get RSS mental health services,
Mhm.
their center. I don't know if that's true at YMHA also.
Not sure. I'm not sure, but great topic. Great topic. Okay. Anyone else before we move on?
I just want to point out, we've been talking about RSS, and RSS is now open for lunch. They have, I go there for lunch. They have a maximum allowance of 26 people coming for lunch. They have these big tables. They seat 4 people at a table, 1 at each side. Now, there used to be a big, going all around the whole community, that whole room. You'd have like 126 people going all around the room.
But they're at
now
like
there's only
5%
26.
capacity.
Now there's only 26 people allowed.
Yep. I gotcha. Okay, so let's move on, because I know it's a little bit after 5 right now, but we'll move on like to the next topic. And I don't think there's any minutes to approve because there was no June meeting.
There was a May meeting. We could approve those if we have a quorum still, just to.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do have a quorum. Yeah. So I thought, yeah, you're right, the May.
How many do we need for a quorum? We have 12 people.
No, we have, I believe, 7 members.
Oh, it says on my computer, it says there's
Oh,
12
whoa.
participants.
Not all of us are members.
Yes, but we
Oh,
only
I see.
just need 4
Community
members. of the-
residents.
So, all right, let's see. Do you want me to try to pull up the minutes?
Blind vote.
I'm sorry, do you want to just take the vote, Lisa? You want to call the vote? Go for it.
No, I was just wondering, did everyone see it when they came out in May? And it's just.
I don't think there was
Long
much.
time ago.
Yeah, it was a long, I read them back then. I could not tell you what's in
Yeah,
them.
the same,
Pull them up.
They're on the website, yeah, if it's easier, yeah.
Yeah, let me, I'll go right to it and I'll pull it up for us.
Sorry, housekeeping, they just get it done.
That's exactly right. We'll just get it done. Let me get into it. Committees. Minutes, May 2021. Oh. Okay, I'm going to share the screen right now. Share screen. Let me see if I could pull that up. All right, everyone should be able to see the minutes now, right? Is everyone able to see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
All
see it.
right. So we're just gonna go into, we'll just get right to there. Okay. So it looks like my ride is really the first topic of discussion for the May minutes. Let me just see how long these are. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
So there's about 2 pages of minutes right there. We have a My Ride. Joe Jenkins presented My Ride, which was a 3-year pilot program that should begin late summer. And it's designed to help older adults and people with disabilities stay mobile for increased health and independence. Now, the My Ride, actually, first day of the application started today.
Oh,
So if
great.
anybody would like information on it, please let us know. I believe Tanya sent it to me earlier today. I didn't read through it all, but it will be going out to the board, I'm sure. And essentially, it's right here as you're reading through the minutes, what the program actually is.
I move the minutes be approved as submitted.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay,
Third.
excellent. Does anyone oppose? Is there anybody opposed to the minutes?
I'm just finishing a Zoom meeting.
Okay, is there anybody who would like to abstain from the minutes? Okay, unanimously approved, Lisa.
Hey, thanks.
Thank
Check.
you. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, is there any outstanding business that we need to go through? Okay, is there any new business that anyone would like to raise today? Okay, everyone, thank you for a great first meeting. I look forward to this year and working with all the members of the committee.
Thank you,
Everyone have a
Dan.
Thank
great
you very
Monday.
much, Dan.
Have a good
We
evening.
appreciate having you as our secretary, as our not
Our
secretary,
leader.
as our leader.
Thank
And
you
just
so
you
much.
smiled until today.
Yeah. Well, everyone, you have a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you so
I
much.
know, Dan, and
Thank you.
this committee will not be as nerve-wracking
As
as the
TNT,
last one you were on.
definitely. No, it will not. Different
Good.
vibe. Okay.
Okay.
Take care,
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye-bye.
Right.